Sharon here. Yeah, so, yeah, okay. So,
welcome, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Sharon. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, fine. Good evening.
Oh, okay. The light is off. Okay. Can you guys give me a minute? Just a minute. Let me go on the gem because so that it's bright. Just 1 minute. I'll be right back.
That's fine. We understand.
Yes.
Okay, so for those who have not gotten the opportunity to tell us how they are feeling, Sarah, how are you feeling today? We're doing how are you feeling from 0 to 10. Mimi said she's feeling a 10, which is the highest we've gotten so far. Do we have any other 10s? Welcome, Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you, Farida. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, guys, sorry, I'm back.
Okay, welcome.
All right, I'm back. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Mimi, can you just first of all start by telling us a bit about African Storybooks, just what it is about generally, for those who don't know anything about African Storybooks, the organization.
Okay, all right. So African Storybook is the initiative of SAIDI. SAIDI is the South African Institute for Distance Education. So what we do with African Storybook is to make sure that children have access to openly licensed picture storybooks in the languages of Africa. So our focus is basically for children to enjoy reading and for their imagination. So that's what the focus is on, to ensure that children fall in love with reading. Because when they do, it makes it easier to read boring textbooks. Yeah, so that's just the goal. Yeah, to get them to read. And it was in response to the situation we all know, where there are a lot of books, there are a lot of Eurocentric books, storybooks, and then children, African children, would read those stories and there's no representation. They can't see children that look like them or an environment that looks like theirs or have names that look familiar. And then the concepts behind some of those stories are a little far-fetched. They are unable to, relate. And so Saidi wanted a situation where children can have access to storybooks that are relatable and familiar, in languages that are familiar. If you read a story in your language, you connect. In your language, you connect than when it's just English. So it's not just about it being in English, but the concepts, the culture, the way of life, the belief system, all of that's being reflected in stories, and for children to have access to those storybooks. And then the focus was to have them free, because it's one thing to have books available, it's another thing for access. Not everyone might be able to buy them, in the quantities necessary to entrench literacy, and say USAID says every child should read at least 40, is it 44 or 45? I can't remember right now, books a year to entrench reading. So not everybody will be able to buy 45 books, as much as it seems like, oh, it's 12 months, you should be able to buy 45 books, but it's not feasible for everyone. But so African Storybook just wants to make sure that children, African children, have access to picture storybooks in the languages of Africa. So that's the summary.
What kind of languages would you find? Thank you.
Okay, so there are over 200 languages on the African Storybook website. So you find Hausa, Igbo, you find Ashanti Twi, you find Kiswahili, you find Hausa, Igbo, Fulfulde. So languages, African languages. And part of what makes that happen is that we have story making workshops We work with organizations and communities. And then our digital, I'm going ahead of us, but our digital tools also makes it possible for people and communities to create stories or to translate stories in their languages on the website. Yeah, so that helps with, the translations and all of that, apart from the direct people we work with who do those translations. So people like you can actually go into the website and translate stories. And then we always advise for you to have at least 2 people who can go through your work and quality assure them. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing when you translate is you're doing that for that child in your community who can only read in your language. So you owe it to yourself and that child and the integrity of that language to, reflect it correctly. Yeah, so.
Okay, so these books are all online. At some point in this discussion, we'll talk about access, because, for some of our sports, first of all, limited devices, and then also no access to internet. So we'll talk about that. So where can you get the books? Are they on the web? Is there an app? Can you read offline? Can you print?
Okay, so there's a website. It's www.africanstorybook.org. www.africanstorybook.org. At some point, I will share my screen and we'll go through, a few of the things on the website and all of that, so you'll be able to see. But there's a website, yes. So on the website, you can find those storybooks to read. We also have an app called the African Storybook Reader. You can find it on Play Store and iOS. You can download the app. Once you download the app, you can download stories on the app when you're online, and then have access to them when you're offline. So whenever there's internet, for those communities or people who may not have access to the internet 24/7, they can, whenever there's internet, download those stories, have them in the app on the e-library, and then when they're offline, they can read them. So that's the app. Then there's another app, the ASB Maker app. We use that one to create stories.
So do you mean like as a sport, if volunteers and students create stories, they can create stories for African Storybooks and put it there on the platform?
Yes, they can create their storybooks, and it will be one. So in the app, when you go into the app and you create your stories, there's a place you see publish. If you press on that publish and you're online, the book goes to the website directly. But on the website, when we get to the website, I'll explain something. On the website, stories on the website are placed on 4 categories. The ASB approved storybooks. Those ASB approved storybooks are books that have been quality assured. So a teacher can use them, parents can be very comfortable, using them. Teachers can use them in the classrooms and all of that. Those ones are quality assured. Then there's another category called the African Storybook Collection, the Storybook Collection. So there you find collections that are maybe STEM oriented or math oriented or about colors. You yourself can go there and actually create your own collection. It just makes it easy for you to just go and find, So yeah, that's the second category. So only ASB approved stories can be found there. Then there's another category called stories created on the Maker app. So those are stories that are created on the Maker app, that on the app on your phone or your tablets. Those apps work only on phones and tablets. They don't work on laptops. So you can work with that. Giovanni, please, excuse me. Thank you. So you can have, so that category has those stories. Then there are also the ones on the Maker app that are not, they have not been quality assured. So if your sports create stories or people in communities create stories, that's where you find them. They are not quality assured, but they are online. So that helps with, keeping records. One of the things I did in my university days was to, in my 100 level, on the oral literature, we had an assignment where we had to go to a community and video an elderly person who tells stories or sings songs and stuff like that. We recorded them, then we transcribed them and then translated them. So I find that a lot of these stories are dying because we have, people who told this folklore dying. I, for one, I was that child that troubled all the old people. So my parents were always, why are you always the old people? Anytime we went to the village, I was always around. If you're looking for me, you'll find me with an old person because I'm asking questions. I'm asking them to tell me stories. I'm just stressing their life, asking for stories. That's all I did. So I find that some of those stories find expression, not necessarily the stories themselves, but they have a way, they've affected the way I write my stories or the way I think, or the way I think when it comes to imagination and stories and African stories and stuff like that. So we find that the ASB Maker app gives communities opportunity to collect stories from people, and just store them there, So if not for anything, they may not be approved, but they're online and they're on record, So that helps with preserving our folklores. So I've gone off Ben, but yeah.
Okay.
I know you understand where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so can you show us, like, on the screen, all these features that you've mentioned? How do we open it? Where are the collections? How do we navigate the website in case we want to use them at the spots?
Okay, so I'll share my screen and then we will visit the website. Okay, you need to enable me to share my screen. Okay, all right, so I can share my screen.
Someone asked, how do we edit the stories? The ones that are created, on the Storymaker platform. Okay, so the stories, so just like the name is a story maker, so you can create, you can edit. Yeah, you can. There are features on the once you download them and you start playing around with it, you'll know exactly what to do. It's pretty easy. If I was using my phone, I would have been able to share my screen and show you how it works, but I'm using my laptop. Unless I have to switch to my phone, then I can go to the Maker app and do like a small demo. So maybe when we get to that point, I'll switch and show you. But on the Maker app, you can edit your stories. You can even switch your pages. You can even, maybe you've created 8 pages, for instance, and you now feel page 2 should be in page 12. You can actually switch it. You can move it. You can move the pages. So you can edit, yes. You can edit. You can now on the app, there are about 200 illustrations on the app already that you can use to inspire you to write the story or create a story around those pictures and all of that. Or you can illustrate, you can draw your story, take a photo of it and use, or you can go to a website like Pixabay website, for instance. Pixabay website, it has openly licensed picture storybooks, so you can use them without, you don't necessarily have to take permission or pay or do anything because they are openly licensed. All you need to do is just write, under the illustration, you now write Pixabay website. So on that website, if you had pictures downloaded from that website, for instance, and you use them, you can snap. Let's say it rains and something happened, or you're following a butterfly, and then you take photos of that butterfly till it disappears, for instance. You can create a story using those pictures that you took of that butterfly. So it gives you those options. Yeah. Awesome. So we can't wait to see. Yeah. Maybe you will share your screen on your phone later too, because that would also be good to see how we can also use the Storymaker with the children.
Okay. All right, so let me share my screen and then I'm going to the website now. Okay, so this is how the website looks. Let me collapse. Yeah, let me move this so that you can see. So this is the website. So on the website, you will see read, use, guide, and make. So here, can you guys hear me?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
I can hear
so
you.
Yes, we can.
here, okay, so on the read, you would see what I was saying. So there are 4 categories. The storybook ASB approved, that's all storybooks checked by African Storybook or by our partner organization. So these books have been checked to see if the pictures go with the text and if the grammar, sentence structure, and all of that is okay. And then they're quality assured. Then these are ASB approved storybooks in collections about themes and topics. Then this is storybooks websites. These are storybooks that are created on the website but have not been checked or quality assured. So meaning that, I mean, if you go into if you go to read books from here, they might be grammatical issues. There might be, you know, the text might not go with the pictures or stuff like that. So they're not quality assured. Then storybooks app are storybooks that have been created on the ASB Maker app but have not been quality assured. So we always advise that you use stories from here. So when you access the website, you would see it says this place asks for language. So if you click, you will see languages. So let me scroll so that you can have an idea of the languages on our website. So every language you see here has at least 1 story on the website. So I have chosen English, but if we continue, you'd see there's Ga, there's German, there's Gikuyu, there's Ibibio, Ichibemba, you know, these are the languages. There are over 200 languages on the website. So chances are that your language might be represented, and if it's not, you could do some translations to remedy that. So here are stories. So here you find titles. The stories are based on titles. And then if you see on this side where my finger is, you see 3, 4, 5. So here, this represents reading levels. So on the African Storybook, reading levels simply means levels. It levels based on number of words, not levels based on age or class. So for instance, a level 1 ASB story will have maximum 9 words on that page, right? Then level 2 will have maximum 25 words. Level 3 will have maximum 35. Level 4, maximum 45. Level 4, 45 to 75. And then level 5, 75 and above. So it's just number of words. It's not about level as per age or class.
So it's not
Because
complexity.
Yeah. So,
like if you want to teach a child to read, like we use level 1 or it's not,
no,
that's not how it is. Okay.
No, that's not how it is here. Here it's just number of words, because the idea for ASB is that children fall in love with reading, enjoy reading, and then their imagination is at work. Yeah, so, and when that happens, it automatically helps with literacy and improvement and all of that. And then for some children, they might be, say, 10-year-olds, but they can't read, or they're learning to read, or they're not exactly, they're more logical learners than linguistic learners. So they're not exactly interested in words. And so that kind of child will have a storybook, for instance, that have only 9 words. And so it's not overwhelming. So he reads it and he finishes it, maybe it's 8 pages or 12 pages, and he finishes in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and he goes, yay, I finished reading a book. So it gives him that sense of accomplishment, you know, and then next day he can see another story with 25 words and goes, okay, I think I can do this. and then he reads, and then he moves up to 45 words and he goes, okay, I can do this, you know. So that's just the general idea. So it's not about age or age grade or class grade. Yeah. So here you will now select, let me collapse this again so that, yeah, you guys can see. So here you see titles. If you click on, let me see, where is that first story? If we click on this, for instance, this is what you would see. So this is the story. You just need to go this way and this way. You just click on, you click here and it moves. Then if you want to download, you can download. So here, this is your menu. So if you want to share this story, for instance, you click here and then it gives you options for Twitter, Facebook, the URL. So you copy and paste. So even when you create your stories on the Maker app and all of that, you can find the link here. So you can just come here, copy it and share with people. So if you want to download the storybook, for instance, you will see here, let me scroll. Excuse me, Havila, please give me a drink of water. Thank you. Excuse me. So you would see download to read, download to print. Excuse me. So under download to read, the story is in an A4 format. It's just, excuse me, just straightforward. So you're reading. Thank you. Havila, please be fast. Excuse me. And then for printing, it comes out like a book. So it's in page form. So you don't need to take it to a printer to rearrange it for you to print. It's straightforward. So if you download this, you just need to take it to the printer and he prints it, and you have it. It looks like this. It will come out. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm okay. Excuse me. To come out looking like this. So you don't need to do anything. You just need to give it to the printer, and ta-da! You have a book. Yeah. So that's with that. Avila, why is it taking so long? Thank you. Excuse me, sorry. Thank you, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's that with that. What else did I want to show you? Yeah, so so you can get the link to share. Then if you also want to see other translations of that story, you will just click here. Click on translation and adaptations, and you see the options for that particular story. So if, for instance, you wanted to translate a story, instead of going straight to do the translation, guys, please, thank you. Instead of going straight and just translating, you can check and confirm if it's in that language or not before doing your translation. I must have touched something because it is so, yeah, so what did I touch? Okay, so that's we read. So you want to click on the approved stories. You can just scroll, or if you knew the author, for instance, you can, for instance, Mimi Werna. If you wrote my name, the stories that have been approved will come up. This doesn't mean that there are no other stories that I've written on the website. It just means that the editing team hasn't gone over the remaining, but these are the ones so far. So if you click on my name, for instance, the books that have been approved will just come up, and you can just, quickly click. But if you don't, have a name, you can just scroll and allow the title lead you to make a choice, and then there are also wordless storybooks. So these storybooks do not have words, just pictures. So for instance, you're working with a child or maybe you want to do an activity where you want to get them to create to supply words to a picture, for instance, you can download this and have the children look at it and ask them questions. Say, oh, what's going on here? What do you think is going on here? What do you think he's doing? What is he holding? No, like that. And it will amaze you, you know, how the children can come up with their imagination. You can give this to 10 children and they'll give you 10 different stories because their imagination is bringing up different things. So they are wordless storybooks. They are also colorless picture, I think we call them color in storybooks or so, something like that. Is it color in or colorless? I can't remember. But
so black and white.
They're black and white. There's a name I can't remember right now. So I thought they were color in because they are black and white. So you can download those kinds of stories and have the children color. So you can download them and print. So sometimes we advise also that for like in communities where you may not be able to do this, but you could print with a regular printer and just fold them and have the children read. You know, so that's another, you know, cost-effective way you can, you know, get children to access those stories with those. So for those ones that are color in, the children can color. If you have your crayons and stuff, they can color. So one story can have different colors and different, you know, fun and ways the stories are represented. Then quickly, I'm seeing that time is flying. So so here you can, if you go here, you'll find stories of champions, you know, people who are using the stories, you know, and what they are reporting. So you can find, you know, that information represented here. You see some of my reports and some of my colleagues and from Dockers, from, you know, different people. So you see how they're using it. Sometimes they express how, you know, the process and all of that. So you can get inspiration on how to use them. Then here are guides. So here are video guides. So for instance, we're done with this and, oh, I can't remember how Mimi navigated the website. You can come here and something will give you information. So website introductions. If you watch that video, you can watch the video and follow what's happening in the video and you know what to do. If, for instance, we don't have enough time and I'm not able to go through the reader app, if you watch this video, it will guide you on what to do. The user app, there's a little mistake with the user app. We have to do some corrections. So the video here, instead of the use of Maker app, has the translation and adapt storybook video. So we have to upload that to help guide you on that. Then you want to create a storybook, gives you ideas here. If you want to translate, it gives you ideas. Reading offline, it gives you ideas. Downloading and printing gives you ideas. And if you want to register, for instance, you can only translate or adapt stories on the website. You cannot use the Maker app to do that. So to be able to translate or adapt, you have to register. So this video gives you information on how to go about that. Then we have guides here. So you're in a community and you want to use the ASB storybooks with your children or the children in your community. If you come here, you can download this material and it will give you step-by-step information and ideas on how to use the African storybook or how to create the storybooks. And here it introduces you here. You want to translate, you're wondering what to do. For people like me, even if I watch a video that gives me step-by-step, I still want to see the written version. I'm more linguistic. I'm visual and linguistic, but my linguistic aspect is stronger. So I always want to still see it. So for someone like me, this document can help you know what to do. Then use of the Maker app. This is a material for instance, because now we have the video not really working or we need to change. This material can help you. If you go through it, it will give you step-by-step information on how to use. The same thing with the Reader app. And here are the in-depth guides on creating storybooks with children, developing and translating stories. So the process, creating a draft, the ideation process, the editing process, read aloud, peer sharing, peer-to-peer reading, all of that. You'll find it in this document. preparing to use African Storybook here, translation, using African Storybooks with children. So here are guides that even after we're done, you can actually go there and find information to help you work with the children in your communities. And here, here you can make stories. So this is where you log in. So the make is where you do your translations, your adaptations, and your creation of stories on the website. So you have to already be registered before you can do that. So because I'm registered, let me do something just for you to see. So here, I want to, so my Magical Rainbow River and blah, blah, blah is published. You can find it there. So this is under collections. If I wanted to create, I will go here and then I can create a story. So you see that there are some stories that I've created. Ant's Quest of Water is published, but it hasn't been approved. If not, you see it show there. You see that it's checked. So this one, I have created this, but I have not published it. I have created this and I have published. And because it has been ASB approved, you see this mark here. This one too has been published and you see this mark, it has been approved. Same with Beams Break from Brushing, from the boss of my body. So if I wake up and I say, okay, I don't want this story again, I can press delete and boom, just like that, it's gone. So here are other stories that maybe children have worked with. Here are some children. These two is in a community in Kuje that I worked with. So they have, yeah, these ones have been approved. So no, they have not been approved, but they've been published. So this is where you find, so this is what can happen. This is the magic you can create with our digital tools. If you want to translate a story, you can go here. So I translated these stories. So, you can go. So some of them have been approved. Some of them have not been approved, but they've been published. Some are just there, So that's what happens here. If I wanted to adapt a story, let's say there's a story in English and the names are not Ghanaian names, for instance, and I want them to be Ghanaian names, I can go there and change. Once I change the names, boom, they've been adapted. If I want to download in bulk, I can go here. You can download one, but if you like, you can download in bulk. So here, I think I wanted to download one time. So I put the stories here together. And if I press the download, boom, all of it just goes. And I'm able to download them.
So it downloads and saves on the device that you're using?
On the device that I'm using, and then I can download it as PDF and print.
Okay, so what about creating a story? Can you create a story offline? So let's say in sports, there's no internet and there's a laptop and they just want to work with the children to create a story. Can they?
Yeah, so
can they create while they're offline?
No, they can create offline on the Maker app, not on the website. Okay. Yeah, that's why the Maker app is there. The Maker app, you can create your story offline. You don't have to be. So let's say a sport is in a community somewhere and there's no internet, but they work with the children. They can take their time, work with the children, do everything they need to do, upload the stories and do everything. When they are where there's internet, you just need to press publish, boom, and it goes up to the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mimi, I understand one of the things you're going to do for us today is to demo how we can read aloud some of these stories. I mean, as an author, I'm sure you have lots of experience with what to look out for when you are doing read alouds with very young children.
Okay, so I selected a playful story that is in mine to read, but if you insist, like I will read mine. But
no,
I wanted to, I wanted to demonstrate. Yeah, I wanted to demonstrate a playful way, So, but before I read, I have some things I want to quickly show you guys. So I have this, for instance. And I wear this on my head and I come to class. And because I have this on my head already, I've captured the children's attention. So yeah, so this one thing.
Let me mention, someone here creates puppets. Is Charles here?
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Okay. So this is just plain paper, disposable paper. And then I use the pom-poms and then googly eyes And boom, Giovanni, please, I need your help. Okay. Don't worry, thank you. So I use this for one of my stories, Emotions Come and Go. So there are different emotions. So this is wool, you know. This is the child who is surprised. This is another one who is, what expression is this? I am confused, you know. So you don't need to be an artist to be able to create this. You know, then I have this. So these are, you know, a few things I do to create that, you know, so they know that, oh, Auntie Mimi is coming, yay. They never know what I'm going to do. I'm always something. Habila, please grab Manila and give me Manila. Yeah, so I just try to create things anytime it enters my head. If I can't create it, I get someone who can do it, and sometimes pay the person. Sometimes, you know, we say toast in Nigeria, toast the person to do. He's in that bag by the chair. 1 minute.
Okay, while we're waiting, okay, I wanted to just okay.
Yeah. So sorry, I wanted to have this here before the class, but I forgot. So this is Manila. So Manila is so this is what happens in Manila. I tie her. So if I come to class wearing Manila, all the children are already screaming and shouting and they're excited. So it's a pig. So yeah, so I got a tailor to do this because I obviously couldn't, I can't sew, so I couldn't do it. So I paid her and she did it for me. What's going on? Why is it not working? Sorry. Oh. So I just wanted to, you know, show us these things because sometimes we think we know what to do, but we don't know how to go around it. So you can use spoons. I use spoons, regular white rubber spoons, disposable spoons. I'll just make a face on it, add cotton wool to it, and boom, I have a puppet. So you don't have to be one serious artist, you know, to do that. Then I have letters that I created too. Yeah, so I just try to have, if there's styrofoam in the house, I can just get someone to carve something out of it. So I'm always, in fact, I have in the dining right now, I have a stack of styrofoam. So I'm going on the street and someone bought a refrigerator and threw their styrofoam. Excuse me, please, can I have it? And they go, yes, and I take it home. so I have empty cartons, I mean, children's church. So when we finish sharing biscuits and everything, all my cartons come home. So there's something happening. My children are already creating puppets and stuff. So when they create, I use them, you know, when I'm working with children. So I'm just saying that you don't need to break a bank, you know, to create these things that will make the children excited.
Excited, yeah.
Yeah. So I had this other one I used to use, but it's ruined now. So I just downloaded huge ears, and then printed them and then laminated. Then I had this pipe cleaners. You can use pipe cleaners on a string, but the pipe cleaners help it stand. So I wear them, you know, and whenever they see me wearing we call them listening ears. Whenever they see me wearing the listening ears, they know today is story time. You know, so you can just create, you know, and then with my kids, sometimes I have maybe like a huge scarf. I'll tie it on my head. Once that is tied on my head, they know, oh, story time. And then I use things like in Magical, if you read Magical Rainbow River, mother in the story did something. It's actually what I do with the children that I used in that story. So I use this, Yoruba people call it omorogun. I don't know what they call it in English. This thing they used to turn food. What do they call it? Ladu?
Yes, it's a ladle.
They used to turn eba. Yes. So when I hold it, I can hold it, and then it's like our totem. And then I tie my hair, and then my voice changes. And the children are just excited, you know. So these are just little things and little ways we can get the children excited to want to listen to the stories and then to go home to want to read stories. Okay, I've spoken plenty. What
Awesome.
next?
Yes, so can you show us the book you wanted to read? Can you show us how, just a short one, how you would do a read aloud, like how you stress some words, those kind of things.
Yeah. Okay, so let me use one of my stories. Let me use a double. So, okay, so I'm going to pretend you are all children right now. So forgive me. Forgive me because I'm about to go baby now. Okay, I double, okay. So I'm pretending I'm in class right now with my children. That's okay, so I call every child my child, so sorry. So okay, with my children, and I'm about to read. So you all are, say, 5-year-olds, for instance. So I come into class and I go, hello, how are you guys doing? And they respond, then I go, today, I'm going to share a story with you about a duck. But before I do, can you remember the song I taught you guys last week? And maybe that song has to do with the duck because I knew that I was going to read this story this week, for instance. So I go, let's go. I go, let's go. Or I say, because one thing I do with children is I say, like, let me use my children, for instance. I say, when a kids, are you ready? And they go, I was born ready. Then I say it again, when a kids, are you ready? I was born ready. When a kids, are you ready? I was born ready. Do it 3 times. And then I go, all right, are you ready to sing our song now? And they go, yay. Then I go, 1, 2, go. Who knows how to water around the pond? Quack, 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 the duckies do. Who knows how to wiggle around the pond? Quack, 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 the duckies do. The quack when the talk, the wiggle and the walk, the quack when the singing too. Quack, 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 let's do what the duckies do. We might do that 2 or 3 times, depending on how they're enjoying it. And we go around and we come back. Then I go, everybody, are you ready for my story now? And they go, yay. And I go, all right. My story, the story I have for you today is titled, I Dabble, Waddle, Wiggle, Quack. Then they repeat. So maybe I turn it into a song, like this one sounds sing-song. So I go, I dabble, waddle, wiggle, quack. Say it after me. I dabble, waddle, wiggle, quack. All right, this is written by Mimi Werna and the illustrations are by Pixabay website. Let's dive in. I am a duck. I hatched from an egg. Do you know what other animal hatches from an egg? Then they go, a lizard, a bird, a pigeon, whatever. I go, yay, awesome. I spend a lot of time around water. I dabble in the ponds. I love getting wet. Do you like getting wet? Then they might tell me, yeah, I like to swim, I like to run, I like to whatever. Then I might pause and say, yesterday, guess what? I played in the rain. But now I'm doing, achoo! Why do you think I'm doing that? Oh, because you caught a cold, because you blah, blah, because you da, da, da. So, okay, what did you learn from that? What does that tell you? It tells me not to play in the rain, but playing in the rain is so fun. Okay, just be safe next time, all right? Then I move on. I waddle with my webbed feet. I wiggle with my tail. My mouth is called a bill. I quack and drink with it. I play in the grass. I play around in ponds. Do you think I sleep in a nest? Then I wait for them to respond. Then they say, oh, no, you don't sleep in the nest because maybe they think I'm asking about me and not the duck. They go, no, Miss Mimi, you don't sleep in a nest. You sleep on a bed. I say, really? I don't sleep on a bed. I sleep in the sky. No, Miss Mimi, you don't sleep in the sky. You are not a bird. Who told you I'm not a bird? Look at me very well. I might just be a bird. You're not seeing properly. They go, they laugh and they say, no, I'm seeing properly. You are Miss Mimi, you're not a duck. I say, well, for now, I'm pretending to be a duck. Do you think ducks sleep in a nest? And then somebody says, no, we have a duck pen or whatever in our house, and they don't sleep in a nest. Okay, what bird do you think sleeps in a nest? And then the blah, 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 blah. Then we talk, and then the story ends. So this is
lots of talk.
Yes.
While reading the story.
Yeah. So sometimes, and that works because you want them to engage, like for the little ones. You know, you want them to engage, you want them to see beyond the words, you want them to see the pictures, you want to have a conversation. Then, if I have the older ones, for instance, do we still have time? If I have the older ones, I will just go straight to the point. It's the little ones that, you know, talk comes in, because sometimes even before you bring in the talk, they are already asking you a question. So you're preempting them and trying to direct the conversation, because they might not ask you, how come the lizard does not fly? It's not connected to the story. They've carried it to where you do not know. So those little ones do that a lot. So I try to engage, you know, and involve them in that. So that same story might be read like that. That same story, it might be read straight and there's no conversation. So I try to, you know, play around and do all of that. But for the older kids, it's straightforward. So let's say we were doing Magical Rainbow River with the older ones. So, because at the end of the day, what you want is for them to have fun and enjoy themselves. So that's why the little ones, because sometimes we adults are very serious, you know, right? And we forget that these children are children. Where is Magical Rainbow River? Where am I not seeing? Okay. So if I were reading Magical Rainbow River with the older ones, I would go this way. Magical Rainbow River, written by Mimi Werna and illustrated by Edwin Irabo. Let's dive in. 3 siblings, Udo, Edo, and Eyum, listened to the music of the rain. They wanted to dance in it. They wanted to touch the rainbow that arrived in the sky. Mother said no. They cried, hoping to change her mind. It didn't work. Eyum even tried to sneak out of the house to visit the rainbow. Mother caught him before he could go. She raised her voice so that Eyum and his sisters would hear too. You could catch a cold, she said. You don't like pepper soup, and you would have to eat some if you caught a cold, she added with a smile. Hoping they would ask for a story, she said, the rainbow is a magical river with healing powers, but it is so high up in the sky that you can't reach it. If you catch a cold, the rainbow can't help you. The children thought about this. Mother, please tell us our rainbow story, said Edo. Yes, please, Mother. I want to hear it too, Udo chimed in. Me 3, Eyum begged, lifting up 3 little fingers. Well, let me see. She said playfully. Okay, lovelies, gather around. Mother, the storyteller, is here. Edo ran for the naha, the stirring stick they used as their totem. She handed it over to Mother. Eyum got the headgear for Mother to wear. It never failed to put her into character. They all sat quietly to listen to the story they had heard many times. Udo blew the whistle, telling Mother to start. Then the story began. Once, the rainbow was a magical river. It was hidden inside the green woods of Badedi. Because it had healing powers, it was guarded. If you were sick, you drank the water. The rainbow was always happy to share, but it didn't behave to people. Because of the rainbow's magic, the wind along the banks. Everyone who came to drink the water also enjoyed the ice cream, especially children. The ice cream orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and indigo. One day, on arrival, she met with a guard. He didn't know her, but he did not listen to his feelings. He pointed the way into the woods and told her to respect the river. Mbam agreed and went to the water. She took a drink and was healed. Then she looked around to make sure she wasn't being watched. Mbam picked a stone and threw it in. She watched as it rose and spread into a ripple. Pleased, she picked up a stick. She threw it in. The same thing happened. Mbam jumped right into the water. She hoped to get everlasting life. As soon as she jumped, the river rose up. It shot high into the sky, never to return to Badegi. But sometimes the rainbow follows after the rain to feel like a river again. And there my story ends, said Mother. So, my lovelies, tell me, why do you love the story so much? Asked Mother. You often ask me to tell it. I love it because it reminds me to pay attention to my feelings, Udo smiled. It helps me to remember the colors of the rainbow, added Edo. Ayu tried to push his luck. I love it because it reminds me of ice cream. Can I have some now, please? It's cold now. Let's eat ice cream tomorrow, shall we? Mother said. Then I'll tell the tale of the end of the rainbow. The end. And that's the end.
Amazing. This is so great.
Thank you.
Cynthia, give me
Thank you, Mimi. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Mimi, I'm Cynthia. I'm taking over from Farida.
Oh, hi, Cynthia. Nice to meet
Hello,
you.
Mimi. Nice to meet you too. Okay, I was so concentrated and so interested in the story. I didn't even realize when it ended.
Okay.
Thanks
Yeah.
so much. That was an exciting read aloud session. I'm particularly excited because I'm in charge of early years with Edu Sports, and this month is our read aloud month.
Yeah.
So this is so timely. Okay,
Yeah.
so before we continue, I have a question for everyone. Because as we are working around read aloud, I have a question. Can you mention at least an observation or two you have made from the read aloud demonstration we had? You can share it in the chat. An observation or two you have taken from Mimi's read aloud session. As they are doing that, Mimi, there's a question in the chat for you. So Sheung, I hope I got the name right. Sheung is asking, how do you quiet them fast enough to continue? So I think this question came in when you were doing the demo for the earlier learners. She was asking how you quiet them down enough to continue with the story.
Yeah, so how do I put it? So like I said, I add some talking and asking questions in the read aloud itself, because if you don't do that, they will definitely ask you questions, and the questions will take you to where you do not know. So I envision the questions they might want to ask, or I preempt them and ask questions, because they will talk. They like to talk. 1 minute their attention is somewhere else. They're thinking of how elephants fly, or they're wondering why people don't walk upside down. That's what's going on in their head, and they want to ask you. So, I do that, and then so I just redirect. Maybe respond to it if it will not take us off chat too much, and then navigate them back to the story. But the little ones will ask questions. They will ask. They might even ask you about the meaning of a word while you are on it. So you just have to be playful and not be too serious, because sometimes we are too serious. We are so focused on trying to read the story and finish the story that we don't, because at the end of the day, it's for them to enjoy it. Are they enjoying the process? That's the important thing. So, you can, if you like, because sometimes I do that too, where we've talked a lot during the process of the story, and I feel that the story itself has been lost. So what I'll do is, because I've already engaged them and we've made noise and talked and asked questions and gone back and forth, discussed the pictures and blah, 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 we can just go ahead and read the story. Or sometimes I start with us going through the story and looking at pictures and discussing it ahead of time. So if we go through the pictures and we ask, oh, what's going on here? What do you think is happening here? Without me reading the story, when we are done and they've exhausted all the questions you can ask, and I say, okay, can we read our story now? And then we go ahead and read. So there, you read the room. You read the room to know when you start with the pictures, or when you go through the story and you blab and talk and you leave it there, or you blab and talk and then come back and read the story. So you just read the room and flow. Because if you focus on them falling in love with reading, we will not be too keen on finishing the story. You don't even have to finish the story. You can stop in the middle and start discussing something else and leave the story entirely, and then come another day and read. So sometimes we being adults makes us too rigid, and then we forget to use the moment. But I like to play. I like to play, and I advocate for play. So anything for play, man, let's go. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's nice. Now, people are sharing comments in the chat. Let's see. Okay, so based on Aaron is saying, I think I noticed the change in her voice as she described different characters. Yes, I noticed that too. Charles says interaction too. Jocelyn says she was playful enough for learners to be engaged and to make it relatable. That's nice. And Sean says, oh no, okay, so great suggestions, preempting and redirect, and that's for the question you just answered. So that's great. So all these observations we have mentioned in the chat, I'm hoping that by the time our read aloud challenges come in at the end of the month, I'm going to see interaction, I'm going to see voice, difference in pitch, tone, all that. Great. Now, Mimi, we'd like to find out, you have been reading African stories to your children. I would like to know how using African stories has increased your children's love for stories, for reading. How has African books in particular led to that?
Okay, so the funny thing with me is that aside from, how do I explain it? So when they're reading these stories, they're seeing, because they also have a library. We have a physical library where they have over 1,000 storybooks, and they read these stories. So apart from the ASB storybooks, and we have conversations trying to, find out what's the difference between this and this. So they're telling me something like my son loves hair so much. In fact, if you saw in the picture we use this thing, I was on low cut. So I started making my hair because of him. Yeah, I started making my hair because he just kept, I cut the hair when he was 2. He was not 2 yet. So he has not seen me with hair. He has just been seeing me with look. So he begged me and begged and begged and said, Mommy, please, And so in the books, they're saying Rapunzel. And Rapunzel's hair is so long. And it's not relatable, because they're seeing their aunties and their teachers, and their hairs are not long like that. They're not silky. So they're wondering. Then they see snow in other books. And, so books, that's not bad, because, I mean, if you've not traveled, you travel using books. I, for one, am someone who enjoyed reading, because I had a dad who loved books, who loved education and all of that. So what he did for me from age 7 till I turned 16, he made me read 3 books a week. And then he read those books along with me. So when I had to give my summary, I couldn't lie. I couldn't say XYZ happened when it, because he read it with me. So he read it along with me. So I couldn't lie. Then he also made me write an essay a day. So for 9 years, I wrote an essay a day. So there's a box in his room filled with my essays that I wrote every day. And he corrected them and I had to rewrite. So sometimes I wrote, in a day, I'm working on 3 or 4 drafts of one essay that I wrote yesterday. I've not even written today's one. But so it was like, what is it? Why are you stressing me? You know, but you know, now I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. So for my children, I actually started reading to them from when I was pregnant. Right from when I was pregnant. Yes, it was that serious for me. So I started reading to them from when I was pregnant. So I'll place my hand on my tummy and say, oh, I'm reading a story for you today. And or I tell them a story and then they came and then I started reading. And by the time I got, I started working with ASB, my daughter was 3 and my son was just 1 or so. So that's when the African Storybook came in. And then that gave them the African perspective. So you see where you're seeing maybe a story where Aku and her ice cream. So Aku, for instance, is the last born and she likes to throw tantrums. And then she makes her mom, maybe they got ice cream and she says her sister's Abenason is more. That story was actually written by Ghanaian. Says Abenason, why is her own more? And mommy, and then mommy takes Abenason and gives her. And then that happened like a few times. Then at some point, she now cried over ice cream and they gave her. And it turned out that the one she collected was the bad one. So Abena ate her ice cream. After all, you collected mine. So her mom said, you need to learn. You have to stop being greedy and wanting other people's things. So you see these things in, no matter how we dodge from it, Africans have a way of splashing morals in stories. You will find it somehow. You know, even though African Storybook is not exactly big on it, we're just focused on, you know, children enjoying reading and their imagination to go to work, that's all. But, you know, because Africans are the ones writing the story, you find that splash there, where you might not find those in the Eurocentric stories. So you see the children now know there's a story, Africa Unity Race. By the time you're done reading that story, you've gone around Africa. So from that story, they now know the different African countries. You can find, oh, people in Ghana are eating whatever. People in Kenya are eating whatever. So you find you're getting to know more about Africa. You're getting to know more about your identity. It's shaping your identity. You are proud of the fact that you're African. You're not trying to sound like the Europeans. You're not trying to behave like them because you're seeing that they're reading the Eurocentric books, they're reading the Afrocentric books. And so, I mean, nothing is looking superior, you know, so it just gives them that balance. And then I need to add this. The children I teach online are Africans, but they're not in Africa. So they're either in Canada, US, Sweden, Poland, or somewhere, but they are Nigerians. Some of them have never visited Nigeria. Some were in Nigeria, moved to, you know. And so I use these stories with them. And then one of them went, when we read the Africa Unity Race, went, do you mean Africa is not a village? I said, yes. It's 54 countries. He's like, yeah, I just saw that. All along, I thought it was a village. I thought it was one country. Africa was one country, and this is an African. Yes, but he found that light bulb moment came for him through Africa Unity Race. Then I had one other student. She moved to the US when she was 5, and she's from Ijebu-Ode. If you're Nigerian, Ijebu-Ode is a Yoruba village, and their Yoruba is conk. So she had that strong Yoruba accent. So I'm doing this so that you will understand. So she had that very strong accent. Then she goes there and it shows, and she's embarrassed. and she's trying to sound. In fact, the first time we got into class, she introduced herself and said, "My name is Omotola." And I go, so when I'm talking to her, I don't call her Omotola, I call her Omotola. So it got to a point where she now introduces herself, or maybe we're talking, and maybe she writes a story and she writes an essay and she used her name. She will read it Omotola. She stopped that Omotola thing that she was doing. Because I one day I was like, she says, and she goes Omotola because they always call her Omotola. I said, well, it's your name. You should teach them how to pronounce it. If they're not pronouncing it right, then you leave them to that. But at least pronounce your name right. It's your name, so pronounce it right, So I saw that from interacting with the African Storybook and using the stories in my classroom, they were beginning to own the identity. The stories they give back to me, because I use like the first 5 minutes to just have a conversation. How did your week go? I tell them how my week went. They tell me how their week, and they go, oh, this week, I was not embarrassed at all. I talked about Nigeria. I even showed them the African Storybook for them to see. I showed them that Africa Unity Race, because they always say that in Africa, we really have villages. There is no light. There is no this. I showed them, I said, oh, this is Nairobi. This is Nairobi. This is Nairobi. Look at it. This is Abuja. And for me, that was exciting for me, because it now gives them, they can own their voice. They can own their voice and speak and not be embarrassed that they have an accent. So one time I told them, I said, look, that's their accent. You have your accent. That is your accent. That's your identity. If you hear one of them, you know this is the US. This is somebody from America. If you hear somebody speaking from Nigeria, you can tell. We may speak and pronounce the words correctly and all of that, but you can tell that this is a Nigerian. So it helps them own their identity. They are seeing names, they are seeing John, James, and stuff like that. But here they are seeing Abena, they are seeing Edo, they are seeing, different names, they are seeing Wepekulu, they are seeing, so, it just gives them that sense of, I'm African. It's my identity, so that's what I have noticed with my children and the children, the diasporan children children in diaspora that I work with, that that have engaged with African Storybook, and some use the stories to also learn their languages.
Okay, sure, that's nice to hear. Okay, before we leave, I'd like to ask if anyone has a question, they can come off mute and ask, or they can share in the chat section. We'd love to hear. Put on their thinking caps and
share on their website, and people can just click and see instead of reading it. I don't know. You've done the reading so well. Can someone tell a story and read?
I didn't follow the question. I didn't.
So he's
I don't
trying
think
to find out. He's trying to find out if I also understood the question well. If people can, you see, you did a demonstration of a read aloud. He wants to know if we can have audio versions and upload it as writers ourselves.
Yes. If you guys can do it, or
the way we can upload stories, if we can upload audio versions of it.
Okay, on the website, no.
Yes.
But you can do your read alouds and video yourself and share.
Okay.
Because during the lockdown, I did I think 54 stories. I did 54 read alouds, where I would record myself reading a story, maybe in my backyard under a tree or something. And then I'll remind them to wash their hands with soap and water at the end of my story. So I read those stories. I used my phone and an app called AZ Reader, AZ Record. I can't remember the name, but I used it. And so I would, my picture is displayed somewhere here, and then the words are displayed, so the children can see me and also see the words. So I shared them on Facebook that period. So every day I would read, and then I'll upload I'll read, I'll upload like that. So you guys can actually do that too. You can read aloud and record, because that magnifies your impact. If you have that on YouTube or you have it on your social media websites and your social media platforms, that's a parent will obviously, because parents, I didn't even realize what was happening until I started getting messages. And I was like, oh, are you serious? So a lot of parents were following, they were reading. I even had some friends, some parents was, please, can we have your number? My child wants to say hello, you know. Yeah, so it's something you can do, but you can't do that on the website.
I mean, I think Cynthia is frozen.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Charles just also asked if you could get the name of the app for him. He needs
The name of the app.
very well. Yes, please.
Which of the app now? The Reader or Maker app?
I think the one that allows you to do a recording of you reading.
I can't remember the name. I think you can actually Google and ask they call it a screen recorder. I think on AZ, I can't remember the name because it's not on my phone anymore. It's not on this phone because that was lockdown. Let me go to Play Store and see if I can see it. I most likely will be able to remember. AZ. Yeah, AZ screen recorder. AZ as in A, letter A for Apple, A.
All right.
Z screen
recorder. Interesting.
You can find it on Play Store.
All right. All right. Yeah. Yes. So, any other questions? Please feel free to share. You can put it in the chat section or come off mute and share with us all. Mimi would love to answer all your questions.
So let me write the name, African Storybook. African Storybook. That's the app, African Storybook Reader. African Storybook Maker. So these two apps, one, you can find them on them. One is for reading, the other one is for creating stories.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing, Mimi. I think it's been a very wonderful and interactive session. And I speak for everyone when I say it's been wonderful. We are highly appreciative for you granting us this talk. And then, as Cynthia earlier mentioned, our challenge for this month centers around read aloud. I'm sure you've been given pro tips to volunteers, and then this is going to actually aid us, undertake this challenge very well. Yes, and then for our joiners, thank you very much for also joining to learn from Mimi's insights. Let's just say essence. Yes, Mimi's essence, and thank you very much. We are highly appreciative. Without wasting much time. I would want to thank everyone, and then say a very good evening. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much for having me. I had fun. I looked forward to seeing you guys, so I'm glad I was here. Anything for the children, because I mean, for me, children are my waking dreams, my sleeping thoughts.
Interesting.
And anything to make them read, I am all for it. Anything to make children read, I'm all for it.
So, Mimi, you saying children are your waking dreams. Any last words? Just last words for us,
Okay, last words. Yes. I will just say that when spending time with children, as adults, a lot of times we are too serious. So I would like to beg us, please, let's play. let's concentrate on the children having fun. And because our educational system is competitive, we're always writing exams and doing quizzes and this stuff. So when we're working with children in communities and engaging with reading, we kind of take that to those sessions. We kind of, sometimes we now create competitions out of out of what we're doing. We say, oh, let's the best reader be this one, please. You know, I always advocate that please, 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 for especially for these communities, children who do not have access to storybooks, children who are trying to get to read, you know, and all of that. Let's concentrate on them having fun and falling in love with books. Because when they have fun and fall in love with books, they can read boring textbooks. I always say that because textbooks are boring. But when you fall in love with, because that's what helped me. You know, what helped me with books is that I love to read. So because I love to, it became like a muscle, how do they call that thing? It became automatic. So I got so bad that if I didn't have a book, I would take all the containers, perfume containers, body cream containers, and I'm reading them because I cannot but read. Yes, you know, I'm reading. I just want to read. So, you know, if we get children to fall in love with reading, then learning will be easy. So let's just focus on helping children fall in love with reading.
Thank you very much. We are highly appreciative of you sharing with us your insights. And then please, for those that are new to the sports, we've kept the mailing list. Please feel free to, you know, sign up to our mailing list. All right. Thank you very much all, and then have a lovely rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Good job. I love what you're doing.
Bye.
Thank you so
So-
much. Bye. Bye, Amara. Bye, Charles, Edward. Bad.
Bye.
Wait, Amara. Oh my God. I know you. Bye. Have a lovely day. Oh my goodness. Bye.